bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today's DIY is an aloe mint hand wash. And so this is pretty easy to make, and the formulation has been balanced so that the pH will come out to just when made as is, so yeah. Our surfactant blend is a combination of 3 different surfactants with 3 different charges. For our anionic surfactant, we have some Disodium, Laureth, Sulfosuccinate. For our non-ionic one, I've used Caprylyl and Capryl Glucoside, and for our amphoteric surfactant, I've used Cocamidopropyl Betaine. If you'd like to learn more about these surfactants, make sure you are visiting humblebeeandme.com/surfactants. There's some great information there about lots of surfactants. The pepperminty part of this hand wash comes from a bit of peppermint essential oil, but you could use a different essential oil if you want, or you could use a peppermint hydrosol instead. I've provided details on how to make that swaparoo in the blog post linked in the description box below this video. Our preservative is Geogard Ultra, which is an all-natural eco-cert certified preservative, and it is water soluble, but it's very slowly water soluble. So I have incorporated a little bit of heat into this formulation to kind of get that happening a little bit faster. The first version of this formulation I did make totally at room temperature, just kind of mixed everything together, covered it in a bit of cling film, and then just left it to do its own thing and dissolve. And it took like 3 days for the Geogard Ultra to fully dissolve, which was a while. And so yeah, I introduced a little bit of heat to just kind of hurry that along, because 3 days, I needed hand wash, man. If you are looking for more information about this formulation, including information on substitutions, scaling, shelf life, pH, links to places to buy all the ingredients, please make sure you're reading the full partner blog post, which is linked in the description box below this video. As always, you'll find just absolutely heaps of useful information down there, so make sure you are checking it out. But yeah, I think that is enough. So let's go make this gorgeous hand wash. We'll begin by combining our preservative, this is Geogard Ultra, with the distilled water. So we've got 83.875 grams of distilled water in this beaker, and to that I'm going to add 2.5 grams of Geogard Ultra. I've linked to places to buy this preservative all over the world in the blog post, so make sure you check that out. Now, because Geogard Ultra is heat stable and quite slow to dissolve in water, we're going to heat this mixture. So I'm going to weigh this and note that weight so we can replace any water lost to evaporation during heating. And then I'm just gonna pop this in a water bath. So this is a small saucepan that has about 1 inch or 3 centimeters of water in the bottom of it, and I'm going to go put this on the stovetop over low heat until all the little bits of white have vanished. While the water and preservative get friendly, we're going to combine our essential oil with our surfactants. So in this beaker, I already have 0.75 grams of peppermint essential oil. I used the Supreme one from New Directions Aromatics, which I really like, but just use any peppermint essential oil you like, or you could use a different essential oil. Read the blog for more details. That, we are going to add 25 grams of Caprylyl and Capryl Glucoside, 50 grams Cocamidopropyl Betaine, and 37.5 grams of Disodium Laureth Sulfosuccinate. If you need substitutions for any of these surfactants, please make sure you're reading the blog post linked in the description box below this video. You can see this gets quite thick and lovely, just like that. How cool is that? And you'll also notice that, we didn't kick up a ton of lather, even though I was stirring this fairly vigorously, and that's because the water content is really quite low right now. Once we add the water, we won't want to be doing that, but for now, you can whisk away without kicking up tons of bubbles. And now we're going to incorporate our last 2 ingredients in with the surfactant essential oil mixture. So you're going to need 50 grams vegetable glycerin and 0.375 grams of a 200 times concentrated aloe vera powder. So you can see that this is not green, and it is quite a fine powder. So if you don't have a 200 times concentrated powder, you can definitely get a variety of concentration levels, or if you have the juice, make sure you're reading the blog post for information on how to use that instead. I usually use a juice that I've already made from the 200 times concentrate that I have, but because I was making a pretty large batch of this, and then it ended up calling for a sort of a reasonable amount of the 200 times concentrate. Like a lot of the time you would need like 0.001 grams and it just doesn't make sense to do that. But here, since it was, you know, a meaningful amount, I'm just adding it directly to the formulation. Really, all that we need to do now is wait for the preservative water mixture to dissolve and then cool a bit. So 'tis a waiting game. I will see you when that is done. Once the Geogard Ultra has dissolved, you can remove the beaker from the heat and then just let it come back to room temperature. The reason there's some bubbles in this is because this is the whisk that I was using to whisk this up, and I just brought it into the kitchen to hurry things along. So we are going to weigh this again and then refer to that weight we wrote down earlier and top it up to what it was before. And this is just room temperature water. There's no need for it to be warm because we don't want it to be warm. We're happy with things being cool and room temperature. So our next stage is adding this gently to our surfactant mixture. So I'm just pouring it down the side of the beaker to kick up as few bubbles as possible. And hopefully that's coming across well on camera, but you can see that there's still kind of wispy bits of surfactant. It's kind of hanging out in the mixture. So up next, we're just going to cover this. So a bit of cling film here. I'm just going to cover that and leave it to dissolve sort of on its own time. Probably take an hour or two. I don't know, probably going to take my dog for a walk or something. And then once it's a nice uniform mixture, we'll test the pH and it should be a-okay. And then we'll package it up and that's pretty much it. So I will see you once this is all one and lovely. All right, so it's been a couple hours. Went for a dog walk, made some dinner, and you can see that this is all nice and clear. So our next step is going to be confirming that the pH is a-okay and then packaging. So our first step in pH testing is creating a 10% dilution of the product. So I've got a little beaker there. I'm going to add 2 grams of product. This doesn't have to be super precise. We just don't want it to be any more diluted than 10%. And then we're going to add enough water to total 20 grams. So that'll be a 10% dilution. A whisk to combine this little testing solution. Then we'll grab our pH meter. So this is the one that I have from Apera, a pH 60 pH meter. So I'm going to begin by rinsing it off, rinse off the storage solution. So for more information on my pH meter and pH testing, make sure you're looking up pH meter in the Humblebee and Me encyclopedia. There's a bunch of good information and helpful links in that entry. So we'll turn it on and we'll pop it in our solution and we will wait until we see a happy face. And that, yes, like, hey, I'm happy, this is the pH. Yeah, careful that it doesn't tip over, that will make quite a mess. All right, 4.71, excellent. Pull that out, that a rinse again. So that's a great pH both for our skin and for the preservative, so booyah. Add that to the storage solution and put that away somewhere safe, and then we'll discard these. And now all that's left is packaging. So you can see that this has some viscosity to it for sure. There's details on how to make it more viscous on the blog post if you want. Because this does have, you know, some kind of body to it already, you aren't going to be able to put this in a foamer top bottle, but it works great in a pump top bottle that has a, on the smaller side, dispenser nozzle. I mean, it doesn't have to, but I find that this works really well. So this little cube pump top bottle holds 250 mils or about 8 fluid ounces, like half a pint. And this was a gift from Bee. And so this is thin enough that we can just pour it right in. Something that I forgot to note about this particular package is that in order to get the pumpy part to actually pump out, you need to pop it while it's not in here. So of course now I've got a bunch of hand wash on here. But I find that, you know, if you're holding this part and turning it, as you can see, the entire unit spins. So you need to actually be able to grip this part and then kabam, it'll pop out. But yeah, you have to do that before it's screwed into your bottle, or you're just gonna be spinning it in place and it doesn't work. For a bit of a lather demo here, prime that pump, get a bit of product in here. There we go. Yeah, it is, you know, runnier than maybe it could be, but it works for sure. Gorgeous, gorgeous, minty, aloe bubbles. And there you go. So we just made a really lovely aloe mint hand wash. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and please make sure you're reading the full partner blog post linked in the description box below this video. You'll find heaps of great information down there, information on substitutions, scaling, shelf life, links to places to buy all the ingredients, links to other hand wash formulations I've shared in the past, just tons of great stuff. But yeah, thank you so very, very much, and I will see you next time.